people ask me what gear I use to make videos and what they would need to start a YouTube channel. And even though I'm currently working on a series of videos meant to help people start their YouTube channels, I thought I would make an interesting short video about what I have now versus what I had when I started out. So currently my equipment is pretty decent. To film I use a Canon Rebel T5i, which cost me $700 in early 2016. Accompanied with a really shitty clip-on mic that I bought a 5-pack of for $6. For lighting, I also use a pretty cheap Limo Studio softbox kit, which I bought off Amazon for $70 about a year ago, and that's what delivers all of the lighting for my videos. Before all this, I used a Canon Rebel T1i and an IKEA lamp for lighting. Before that, I used a Sony CX220. Before that, I used a Sony Handycam that recorded on tapes. And before that, I had this little thing. Wow, I have too many cameras. So yes, this was my first YouTube camera. Sort of. I started YouTube in 2007 with a camera I shared with my dad, but this camera was the first camera that I ever had that was entirely my property. And man, did I use this camera into the ground. Being 8 years old, I completely lost the charger, so I used the next best thing. Some random Chinese one that happened to fit the charging port. That ended up being a very bad idea, as I ended up with a battery that barely held a charge a few years down the road. So this camera costed $149 in 2008. So get ready for some disappointment. I didn't notice the photo or video quality or lack thereof when I was 8 years old, but now I sure do. For starters, the sensor in this camera is smaller than what's in an iPhone, and there is no optical zoom at all. If you want to zoom into anything, you're gonna have to use their lovely 8x grainy digital zoom. And at 5 megapixels, this is far what most people are used to in 2017. At least there's a lot of internal storage to write to. Oh wait, never mind. There's an expansive 64 megabytes of internal flash storage on this camera, which is currently being completely filled by a 10-second clip recorded the day I got this camera. On the bright side, this camera actually shoots HD 720p video, which was actually a pretty big deal in 2008. Only in the late 2000s was 720p such a big deal that it was acceptable to put HD on the side of cameras and on the end of usernames. It's actually interesting to see that we do the same thing now with 4K, but only to a lesser extent. Anyway, how does this camera do? Oh man. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't bad, and in fact I'd consider this absolutely passable in 2017, especially if you were to get an external mic. Honestly, this is actually pretty impressive for a 9-year-old budget camera. I expected a lot worse. For starters, I recorded in this resolution to conserve battery and SD card space, as I only had a 4GB SD card to work with at the time. I also didn't know how to operate this camera effectively as a kid. I didn't know that there was a macro setting, or a white balance setting, or really any settings beyond resolution. And I also didn't know that I could use SD cards as large as 8GB. I thought the maximum was 4, so I used a 4GB SD card that filled up very quickly with HD video. I also didn't have a tripod, so videos often looked like this. It's because I set the camera on its side with the pop-out screen kind of balancing it. I also use this camera for photography. A lot. In fact, this camera kickstarted my passion for photography. So what can you take away from this? The message I would like to leave is that you do not need a fancy camera or a fancy mic or fancy lighting to start a YouTube channel. Essentially, if you're just starting out, work on your scripts and your editing and things you can control, and worry about dumping your finances on a fancy camera later. Record on whatever you have, basically. Anyway, that'll be it for this video. Make sure to join my Discord to talk to me and other 32 megabyte subscribers. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.